AVRant and SVS have teamed up to bring you an unbelievable opportunity. Have you been dreaming of dual subwoofers? Perhaps you'd like to upgrade your entire 5.1 speaker package. Don't have the cash? AVRant and SVS have your back. Go to www.avrant.com right now for your chance to win your choice of dual PB1000 subwoofers or a Prime 5.1 satellite speaker package. Contest ends September 30th. Don't wait. Open to the residents of the United States and Canada. We are your home theater and AV questions answered. This is AVRant. Want your home theater or AV question answered by Tom and Rob? Send it to question@avrant.com. Welcome to AVRant. I'm Tom Andry, and I'm here with
Rob H.
All right, Tony. I'm going to have to click on this, aren't I? Because I'm not going to be able to see any of this. Tony has a 5.2.2 Atmos set up in a 13 by 12 by 8 foot room. He's using Def Tech Monitor 450s, speakers for his fronts and surrounds. Are those bookshelves?
Those are bookshelves.
Okay.
Yep.
And a Def Tech CLR 2002 center. And a pair of SVS Prime satellite speakers overhead. He's using a pair of SVS PB1000 subwoofers. Woo! But he says he's having trouble getting the bass to sound good. The subs are at the midpoint of the side walls, but are both elevated, one 30 inches and the other 16 inches from the floor. That is the weirdest thing I think I've ever read on this podcast. That's cool. All right.
I mean, they must be on top of something.
It's on something. I don't know what it is. A chair, stairs? I don't know. 16 inches, 30 inches? That's very odd. A table? 16 inches is not high enough. 30 inches is. So what's the process of getting really good sounding bass in this setup? So let's look at this diagram here. I'm gonna have to click on it so that
this is sort of, it's a hand-drawn sketch, but that's fine. This is still worth 1,000 words, being able to see this. And assuming that he's not because obviously this is not perfectly to scale or something, being hand-drawn, but it appears as though his seat is quite close to the back wall.
Yeah.
It does and I'm guessing, I'm guessing he's not way off on that even in his hand-drawn sketch.
Right.
So honestly, that's your most likely culprit, Tony, is that your seat being close to the back wall. It's difficult because bass is always going to sort of build up and accumulate and form kind of a hump right at any wall surface.
Right.
So the number one thing you could try before anything else, which would be the easiest by far, is just scoot yourself forward, get yourself maybe 2 feet behind you, 3 feet if you can, and see if that improves things at all. Because if it does, then right away you know that the issue has more to do with your seating placement than anything else.
Literally, just move your chair up so that you are a third of the way into the room from the back wall. Mm-hmm. Just do that temporarily. Sit there.
Yeah.
If you've done any sort of room calibration, especially if LSC, something that does subwoofer calibration, run it again from this new seat position, and then listen to it. And if it doesn't sound better to you, then you need to come back and hit us up again, and we need to know what else is in this room, or if there's any openings, because right now it's just a box. But we would want to know, that should make a huge difference. You're sitting right along that back wall. There's that, right along all these, just like we say, putting a subwoofer in the corner, you get bass reinforcement. Putting yourself against 2 walls, which is basically the wall behind you and the floor below you, you're basically putting yourself in a little bass amplification cone, which is not bad, but it does make it harder for the bass to be even. I don't know how, because we can't see anything else in here as far as what things are doing. I don't think the elevation is the problem.
No, that's unlikely. And you've done the number one thing that we would normally suggest to people, which is you have good subwoofer placement for dual subs. You've chosen the midpoint of the 2 side walls. So right there, this will get more into, what's sort of the process of getting good bass. You've done the placement already. What you would try to do is just play a bass sweep and have that bass sweep play through both of your subs simultaneously. Make sure the subs are set both to mono, both getting the same signal. And you play a bass sweep through the 2 subs and just have a listen. Just have a listen to that bass sweep and see if it's really roly-poly. Because the thing is, he didn't completely describe what he doesn't think sounds good.
He just says it doesn't sound good.
And it's actually very possible that he is now getting more linear bass than he ever had before by virtue of having two well-placed subs, but he's not used to that and was expecting a lot more slam, or he was like, I had one sub, I thought it sounded good, I added a second and it didn't get any louder. In fact, it got quieter, and I'm upset about that, and that makes total sense. But as we've mentioned on this podcast before, that happens a lot, because once you actually get more even, uniform, and linear bass, it often sounds quieter than what you were used to with just one sub that was producing some huge peaks that gave you some excellent thump, but it was actually totally inaccurate. So you need to listen to a bass sweep that's playing through both of the subs simultaneously and just figure out, do you have a roller coaster? Because it's not impossible. You might still. This room might not be a perfect rectangle or whatever, or because of where you're sitting. But if you actually discover that you play that bass sweep and it sounds pretty darn even all the way through, it would help just in terms of just sheer, I'm not saying you have to like it, but it's just understanding that you actually have what we're trying to achieve first. Now, after that, you can tune it to taste. You can EQ it to taste. If your AV receiver is using a program that doesn't let you easily manually EQ it, you could add something like a mini DSP for $100 and manually EQ it into a frequency response that you personally like. We have zero beef with you doing that.
I mean, it's like these guys who spend a lot of time and money on their car audio, and they get into the home theater and they don't like it as much. And because they're used to a certain amount of tactile bass, they want all that extra bass, and there's nothing wrong with that. What we want you to do is start from a place that where your bass and your room acoustics and all the sound in your room is as good as it possibly can be. If you want to, I'm using air quotes here for if you're not, those of you that are watching. If you want to mess it up, it's because you like the way it sounds that way.
Well, let's just say
that's fine. That's fantastic.
Go to non-linear. Right?
Non-linear. That's right. I mean, and I think there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, we all do that to a certain extent. We do it either subconsciously or consciously. Sometimes we change where we're sitting slightly because we're like, I like this seat a little bit better. Well, that seat might be slightly less linear, but it's less linear in a way that you find pleasing. There is nothing wrong with that. It's all about getting sound that is good. What we're trying to do is make sure that everybody starts off from a place that's as accurate as possible.
But let's say you go ahead, you play that bass sweep in mono, and it is a roller coaster.
Yes.
Like I said, not impossible. Honestly, this isn't too terrible for you. Get a friend to come over. Get someone who can help you, because you have PB1000s. They have fully variable phase knobs. Right. Now, pick one of them and set it to 0 degrees on its variable phase knob and leave it alone. Don't touch that one. But the second sub, you sit in your seat that you care about, have your friend with their hand on that knob, and you're going to have that bass sweep playing on repeat over and over and over, and have them move the dial of the phase knob, go in about 5-degree increments if you can. 3 would be even better, but that's awfully tedious. So go in about 5-degree increments if you can. But turn it 5 degrees, let the bass sweep play. Turn it another 5 degrees, let the bass sweep play. Keep doing that, and eventually you'll hit upon a setting with that fully variable phase knob where you get a pretty darn even sounding sweep. Now, you're not looking for 100% even, but it's just if you had a roller coaster, some parts are way louder, some parts are way quieter, and you get to something where the sweep is pretty even all the way through, now that's your starting point. And again, once you get that, then feel free to EQ to taste afterwards, but that's your starting point for getting nice, linear, even bass in your seats. So after that, the only other thing I would say is make sure all of your speakers are set to small and they all have an 80 hertz crossover or higher. If it sounds better at 90 or 100 or 120, that's fine, but don't set it to 60 or 40, something lower than 80. Make sure it's at 80 to start. And that should be the process. That should get you there.
Okay. Want your question answered? Send it to question@avrant.com. This is AVRant.
Now go out and listen to something.